Hola everybody from the Machuca Rio de Costa Rica. What a big week we have ahead of us this week. Oh my goodness. We've got the new moon happening today at 28 degrees, 27 minutes of Pisces. Right? And then the sun moves a degree every day, 28, 29, 30, ding, spring equinox in the northern hemisphere as the sun goes into Aries on Friday. And at the same exact time, Mercury is sitting stationary, turning direct, conjunct the north node of the moon. A moment of destiny, a week of destiny. I want to talk a little bit more about that. And if that wasn't enough, we have all kinds of things going on. Last week, I talked about Chiron conjunct with Aries, okay, and that is exact today, along with the new moon. Venus is squaring Jupiter today, along with the new moon. And coming up later on this week is Mars over there in Pisces trine to Jupiter. Venus square Jupiter, Mars trine Jupiter at the same time, with Mercury conjunct the north node. That sun moves on right after the equinox and conjuncts with Neptune, okay, on Sunday, and by next Wednesday it conjuncts with Saturn. Basically, we could say that it's conjunct both of them through this whole time period, right? And so the moon obviously moves, into Aries, tomorrow, and then moves through Aries, conjuncts with Chiron, and goes into Taurus on Saturday, and by Monday she has moved on all the way into Gemini. And I think that is enough of these aspects to give a sense of what I want to be talking to you about today. All right, well, there is so much to say with so little time. I better hurry up. I'll get to hurrying up. That comes in this week's mantra, which I hope you repeat over and over to yourself. What I want to start with right off the bat, and it's a long read. I mean, it's the beginning of the cycle, but it is the Sabian symbol for the first degree of the zodiac, the equinox, the very first degree of Aries. 0 to 1 is the first degree, right? So the sun, boom, on Sunday, it's coming. And it's also like the beginning of every new cycle has this same undertone. So the new moon is also like a 0 degrees, so this relates even to the new moon that's happening today, okay? A woman just risen from the sea. A seal is embracing her. Get that symbol, get that image of a woman just emerging like Venus from the shell that rose out of the sea, walks onto the beach, and a seal embraces her. The keynote is the emergence of new forms and of the potentiality. Notice it's only a potential. It's not a guarantee, it's a potential. With the potentiality of consciousness. This is the first of the 360 phases of a universal and multi-level cyclic process, which aims at the actualization of a particular set of potentialities. I'm going to talk about that set of potentialities. These potentialities in the Sabian symbols refer to the development of our individualized consciousness. The consciousness of being an individual person with a place and a function, in parentheses, a destiny, in the planetary organism of the earth, and in a particular type of human society and culture. To be individually conscious means to emerge out of the sea of generic and collective consciousness, which to the emerged mind appears to be unconsciousness. Such an emergence is the primary event. It is the result of some basic action, a leaving behind, an emerging from a womb or a matrix or a society, here symbolized by the sea. Such an action is not to be considered a powerful, positive statement of individual being. In the beginning is the act, but it is often an imperceptible, insecure act. The small, tender germ out of the seed does not loudly proclaim its existence. It has to pierce through the crust of the soil, still covered with the remains of the past. It is all potentiality and a minimum of actual presence. In the symbol, therefore, the emergent entity is a woman. Symbolically speaking, a form of existence still close to the unconscious depths of generic biological nature, filled with the desire to be, rather than self-assertion. The woman is seen embraced by a seal, because the seal is a mammal which once had experienced a biological, evolutionary, but relatively unconscious emergence, yet which retraced its steps and, in quotes, returned to the womb of the sea. Did you know that? Yeah. The seal, therefore, represents a regressive step. It embraces the woman who has emerged, because every emergent process at first is susceptible to failure. This process is indeed surrounded by the memory, the ghosts of past failures during previous cycles. The impulse upward is held back by regressive fear or insecurity. The issue of the conflict depends on the relative strength of the future word and the past word forces. The possibility of success and that of failure is implied throughout the entire process, the whole cycle of 360 degrees, all the aspects, right? At every aspect, you can pass through that evolutionary gate, or you can regress back into the past, right? Every release of potentiality contains this twofold possibility. It inevitably opens up two paths. One leads to perfection in consciousness. The other to disintegration, the return to the undifferentiated state, the state of humus, manure, cosmic dust, to the symbolic, great waters of space to chaos. So this is what we want to talk about today, because along with, and we see astrology as like a cosmic clock with a second hand, a minute hand, an hour hand, all these gears going around inside like a watch, a fine-tuned Swiss watch, cycle upon cycle upon cycle upon cycle. And all the great planetary cycles that are occurring right now have not existed for tens of hundreds of thousands of years. So this is all cosmically tuned. We have a retrograde Mercury stationing direct exactly at the same degree of the north node of the moon, Rahu. Yes? Absolute future evolution. The north node of the moon, it's very emotional, it's very sensitive, it's connected to the moon. The moon's axis of the moon's nodes is very emotional. We can have emotional thinking and thoughts. Our thoughts can be very impacted by emotions right now. And yet at the same time, the North Node indicates forces coming to us from the future to help us evolve. There is, I tell you, if you have ever wanted, expected, hoped for, meditated upon, or desired a download from Spirit, this is the time. I gotta say, sit in stillness, sit in quiet, and you will hear the voice of Spirit coming maybe from the sound of the water, coming from inside, rising up from within the root second chakra, or descending down from above. But this is a very, very special day, a very, very special week of emergence. And there's the second part that I want to talk about, okay? This is not Operation Fury. This is not charge. It's very interesting, like Aries, in general, okay, I mean, it's 30 degrees. We're still at the very first degree, right? We're still just emerging. Like we've just been born and we are super sensitive and insecure and scared and, kind of like, what the hell is going on? Kind of thing, like, right? It's only through time, through the next 30 degrees, this next month, okay, and actually you can do the chart that I drew for today, the astrology is actually, that chart is like a birth chart for this year. So we can even foretell, prophesy a little bit about what's going to happen for the rest of this year based on Sunday's chart, the chart that I posted at the beginning. It's like a birth chart, okay, for 2026. Very powerful. But through this next month, of course, the sun moves through Aries, which is the instinctive, nascent self, unconscious of its own identity, that is just wanting, like a flower, like a seed, to sprout, not knowing what it's going to become, but just having this impulsive, instinctive urge to manifest. Yeah. And so Aries has this reputation, I would say, Mars, Aries, first house of the chart, as being charge, go, strong, the warrior, powerful, war, battle, the sword. But that comes a little later on, okay? That's not for another couple of weeks at least, particularly as Neptune is right there. And then Saturn, if anything's going to slow you down, it's going to be Saturn. So what I'm saying is that this is a time of a very slow beginning. It's a long, slow process of becoming our future self. We need to be gentle with ourselves. We need to be gentle with each other. We need to honor the natural process of becoming in a very, how can I say, really sensitive, caring, nurturing way. So beautiful to have the moon also moving through this sign of Aries at the same time. Now, at the same time as all this is happening, we have Venus and Mars aspecting Jupiter. And Jupiter is down there in Cancer, the womb. And he's going to stay there till, the end of June. So we've got, March, April, May, June. We got 3 more months now. Jupiter's directly, and it's moving very slowly now, coming out of its retrograde phase. And it's, moving from 15. It's only halfway through Cancer. It's right in the middle of Cancer right now. Mars is in the middle of Pisces. Aries is in the middle of Aries. Right? So Jupiter is, gradually moving very slowly. This power of expansion, of trust, faith, belief in ourselves, Cancer. Yes, in our inner child. And that inner child is wounded. We all have wounded inner childs, right? This is such a healing period. And I will say it can be, it's like those two potentialities. One is a successful healing process. Chiron conjunct Eris, like I talked about last week. The other is that no, we don't. We get swept up. We get swept into the fray. We get swept into, AI and the screen and the news and the da-da-da-da-da. We get swept into this stuff and boom, we don't slow down and we don't nurture ourselves and we don't do our yoga, our exercises and have a good diet and really, really treat ourselves as a newborn baby that needs special care. We need special care right now. And that starts with taking special care of ourselves. Oh my God. So, this is, you have to understand there's 2 different trines, there's 2 different squares. There's the waxing square and the waning square. The waxing trine and the waning trine. So, Mars started out, conjunct Jupiter some time ago, right? Over a year ago. And, and it starts out and it comes around and it does that first trine, which is an expansion, of self. And then it goes into the opposition and comes into, relationship, with the world and society. And then it comes around to this third quarter, the 240-degree square. It's returning to Jupiter. And that 240-degree trine has to do with mastery. It's a scorpionic trine. And it has to do, with the mastering of fully integrating ourselves into society, into the culture. Not being absorbed by that culture, not losing our identity to that culture, but not running away, hiding, and not dealing with that culture, right? There's that, again, success failure. How to integrate yourself even in relationship and partnership and intimacy, right? You know, how to be with another without losing yourself, but really at the same time allowing that relationship, you know, to show you yourself. It has to do with the song for this week, Gajumara. And freed from all the stories I've been told, I walk through the shadow, no, I walk through the valley of my own shadow. Yeah. So this trine, okay, and it's interesting, Mars is in Pisces now. And that trine again says that our successful integration into relationship with another, with society at this time, you know, in the whole scheme of things, has to do with our attunement to the collective spiritual cosmic oneness. So, again, getting this download, following the heart, following the guidance, not from the horizontal, geographical, this here world, but really drawing and listening inwardly to put it out there. See what I'm saying? Now, Venus. Venus is at a third quarter, right? So she was conjunct Jupiter, square, okay, you know, I don't know, 6 months ago, you know, opposite 3 months ago, you know, like, and she's at a 270 degree square. And that 270 degree square is a challenging aspect. And that challenging aspect says it's time to throw off all the societal norms, all the rules, regulations, and restrictions. It's, you know, it's really time to rise up and rise out and rise above the pressure put onto us from external authorities, from other people, from, you know, fashion or society or expectations from, you know, whoever. Oh, man. So here on one hand, we're mastering, you know, and part of mastering this relationship with others and relationship with society, okay, has to do with, again, emerging and really coming into our core, our center, liberating ourselves from the past, from our conditioning, from our childhood, parental, educational, financial, all the outside pressures. It's time to, and it's beautiful that Venus is in Aries because, you know, she is rip, raring, ready to go. Oh, man. And this brings me to the last point that I wanted to bring up. And I don't exactly know how to do it gracefully, because I know that, you know, some people have issues with me getting political. But you know what you could do is you could put down in the comments, you know, I'm willing to do a special report on the war, on what's going on. I'll tell you what, this is big, and I really feel that this Saturn-Neptune conjunction that is starting a new 35-year cycle, I hate to say it, folks, but this 35-year cycle that Neptune and Saturn, okay, have begun is the end of illusion, and it's going to be a rough awakening. These next 35 years is where we really need, okay, to be in our core, and we really need to, you know, nourish and strengthen our spiritual connection and not fall into the illusions that are being perpetrated upon us by society, by the media. The fact of the matter is the media is owned. And, the public does not know what's going on. That is number one fact. Okay? Videos are being withheld, photography is being withheld, everything is being censored, everything is being, there is a story being told. And this war is going to be going on for a long time, as I said before. And it has its roots hundreds of years ago. Okay, this is not, just Netanyahu and Trump. They are pawns in a much bigger game that is being played by the Illuminati. There are invisible figures pulling the puppet strings of our political systems. Okay? And this is indeed the incarnation of Ahriman. And it is happening. And we need to really center ourselves in the light of spirit and not fall into this money-driven game with very serious, harmful, violent consequences. This is the Ahrimanic force that is materialistic, without spirit, without source, without creator, without God. This is, and I want to post for you Rudolf Steiner's The Representative of Man. Boom. On the one hand, up above is Lucifer, down below is Ahriman. And I can put a link down in the notes on YouTube, okay? If you want to really understand more about these, I'll put a link to the archives of Rudolf Steiner where he talks about these beings. But we can see one as Saturn and the other is Neptune. Lucifer is very Neptune. Okay, is very imaginative, otherworldly, multidimensional, music, art, drugs, escapism, just, leave, suicide, just like, shh, I just want to excarnate. And there's a lot of stuff out there right now. Okay, just go into the, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth dimensional realms and, experience the light and the love and, rise up and rise above and, and ignore and basically, leave. Here now. And Ahriman, down below, boom, this down figure, Saturn, consolidation, concentration, intelligence, materialism, void of spirit, just knowledge, posing as wisdom. And here we are, little human beings, between these huge forces of light and dark, holding them at bay. This is our destiny. Not to fall prey to either. Not to descend into the realms of materialism and all of the, what looks good and appearances and, this, that, and the other thing and social media and all this kind of, money and property and looks and who's got the latest, computer and phone and whatever. And then also not to disappear, not to hibernate, not to just let go and go into cocoon mode and, I'm just going to, meditate and pretend, pretend that, none of those bad things are happening out there, and that I'm just a spiritual being of light, gratitude, thankfulness, and love, and I'm just gonna flow, and everything's gonna be fine. It's not. Because that's not the route of consciousness, egoic consciousness, which is part of our human existence and evolutionary process. So yeah, we are in the middle. We have to stand, and this is where, there's this new power within us emerging like a woman from the sea. And we can want to go back to Lucifer, go back to the sea, go back to the womb. Not want to face, not want to deal with the beast, the 666 out there that is manifesting right now. Okay? But no, I'm very sorry, but you have chosen to incarnate at this particular time, on this particular planet. And I mean, I don't want to lay anything on you, but you got a mission to do. We're here. We're here to hold the light. Yeah? We're not here to, run to it, and leave prematurely. Don't worry. We're all going to die. Our time will come. We will return to the light. Don't worry about it. It's there, okay? But while we're alive, breathing, walking, talking, okay, we got to deal, okay, with, our bodies, money, food, shelter, clothing, sex desires, relationships, society, education, children, whatever. I mean, family. What we want to do is we want to really bring in, okay, not go out, but bring in the lights and shine it, right? Exude it like a lighthouse on a stormy sea. So, to wrap it up, I just want to say, I want to go back to that this is a long, slow process, and there's, it's not like, okay, we need to build a fortress, and, we need to get all the, no, it's not like, this war is going to be over. Things are going to be going on, okay, and they're going to be developing, and it's going to, worsen, and it's going to become more challenging for all of us. And what we want to do is brick by brick, conscious, directed, stone by stone. We want to build, okay, it's not an exterior fortress, it is inside. It is an identity. This is who I am. And it starts with, I matter. Aries, I exist. I matter. I make a difference. I have a purpose. There is meaning to my existence. There is meaning in my life. And I build. That's my seed. And that is the plant that is going to grow into my individualized consciousness. You know what I'm saying? I hope. Maybe, maybe not. Whatever. The illusion of time now speeding up can push me to pick up the pace. Keep up the pace. But I will stay tuned to Mother Nature, growing strong and slow with beauty and grace. Yeah, baby, you know what I'm talking about. This is an illusion. I could go into Plato's metaphor of the cave. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there is an illusion being perpetrated upon us that we do not want to fall prey to. And that illusion is that there's some external power out there, more powerful than us, that's going to, dominate, control, and destroy or own us. And it's a puppet show. So let's really not be puppets. And let us not fall prey to the illusions, but do this Mercury North Node download and really tap into your individual, unique soul purpose. Where is it? Doink. Yeah. That's probably good for now, man. The illusion of time now speeding up can push me to pick up the pace. But I will stay tuned to Mother Nature, growing strong and slow with beauty and grace. May you gracefully and beautifully, slowly and divinely unfold your blossoming flower. Namaste, aloha, so much love.
We are the spark. No stopping us. There are so many reasons to feel discouraged, but that's not what we'll focus on. Instead of fighting the old, we'll build the new, because we are awake now. We are alive, we're conscious, and we are aware of our power as creator beings. So what we'll do is love deeper, create more art, play more, and be kinder to one another. We'll heal the lies we were fed and heal the trauma that's been widespread. We'll raise awakened children, break out of limitations, create our version of heaven on earth, and invite others to join. We'll remain steadfast in our devotion to a more beautiful reality, and we won't get discouraged by roadblocks along the way. There's so many of us awake now. There is no stopping us. Trust that Earth's ascension is a divine plan, and divine plans cannot be diverted or affected by human minds that are governed by ego and false information. Stay in your knowing as more new energy and high frequency light flows to Earth to expose and remove all lower dense negative energies from our world and collective.